The snow fell softly that Christmas night in Boulder, Colorado. Twinkling lights lined the quiet suburban streets. Inside the Ramsey home, warmth and holiday cheer lingered from the day's celebrations. Laughter, gifts under the tree, a family winding down after a long day. But by morning, everything would change. 6-year-old JonBenét Ramsey, a child beauty queen with a dazzling smile and a future filled with promise, would be found dead in the basement of her own home. A ransom note, a frantic call to police, a crime scene inside a mansion that should have been safe. How could a child be murdered inside her own home without a sound? Who left the bizarre ransom note demanding $118,000, the exact amount of her father's bonus? And most haunting of all, why, decades later, has no one been held accountable? This is the story of JonBenét Ramsey, a murder still unsolved. December 25th, 1996. The Ramsey family, John, a wealthy businessman, Patsy, his glamorous wife, and their children Burke and JonBenét, had spent the day celebrating Christmas. The mansion on 15th Street was a picture of holiday joy. Wrapped presents, a feast on the table, a little girl beaming in her sparkling dress. To neighbors and friends, the Ramseys seemed like the ideal American family. Wealthy, influential, loving. JonBenét, in particular, shined. She was a child pageant star, adored for her beauty and talent. She was the pride of her mother, Patsy, who poured herself into her daughter's success. But beneath the surface of this holiday perfection, something dark was stirring. Because by dawn, joy would be replaced with horror. At 5:52 a.m. on December 26th, Patsy Ramsey picked up the phone and dialed 911. Her voice trembled with panic. "We have a kidnapping. Hurry, please, hurry." She had found a ransom note at the foot of the staircase. A 3-page handwritten message that demanded $118,000 for JonBenét's safe return. The amount was oddly specific. The note addressed John by name, and it ended with chilling words, "Victory, SBTC." But almost immediately, the note raised questions. Why was it so long? Why would kidnappers take the time to write 3 pages inside the home? And how did they know the exact amount of John Ramsey's year-end bonus? Police arrived quickly, but instead of locking down the house, they allowed friends and neighbors to come and go. Crucial evidence was trampled, contaminated, lost forever. And then hours later, in the very home where they had been searching, JonBenét would be found. John Ramsey descended into the basement. There, behind a locked door, he found his daughter. JonBenét lay on the floor, covered with a white blanket, a cord around her neck, tape over her mouth, a fractured skull. John scooped her up and carried her upstairs, wailing in agony. But in doing so, the crime scene was forever altered. The house was filled with chaos. Officers, family friends, neighbors, everyone crowded in. Evidence vanished into confusion. And in that moment, the Ramsey case shifted from a kidnapping to a homicide. But who could have committed such a crime? Almost immediately, suspicion turned inward. Investigators scrutinized John and Patsy, their statements, their reactions, their inconsistencies. Why would a ransom note be written inside the house? Why was there no sign of forced entry? Patsy's handwriting was compared against the note. Analysts debated. Some claimed similarities, others insisted she could not be ruled out. Theories swirled. Was it a cover-up? An accident gone wrong? Did one of the parents kill JonBenét and stage a kidnapping to hide the truth? And then there was Burke, JonBenét's older brother, 9 years old at the time. Some theorists suggested sibling jealousy or an accident during play. Could the family have covered for him? The public watched in shock as America's perfect family came under a dark cloud of suspicion. But the case was about to take an even stranger turn. Not everyone believed the Ramseys were guilty. Some pointed to evidence of an intruder, a broken window in the basement, a strange boot print near JonBenét's body, an unidentified male DNA profile found on her clothing. If someone had slipped inside the mansion on Christmas night, they would have had hours of opportunity. But who and why target JonBenét? Some theorized it was a pedophile who had become obsessed with her pageant appearances. Others suggested someone with a personal grudge against John. The ransom note, strange and rambling, seemed to come from someone who knew the family, but wanted to mislead investigators. So which was it? A family secret or a predator in the night? The murder of JonBenét Ramsey exploded into the media. Headlines screamed across newspapers. News anchors dissected every detail. Talk shows debated the case endlessly. Patsy Ramsey, glamorous and tearful, appeared on television, pleading for her daughter's killer to be found. John stood beside her, stoic but grieving. The public was divided. Some believed the Ramseys were victims of a bungled investigation. Others were convinced they were hiding the truth. Theories grew wilder. Did the parents accidentally kill her during a fit of discipline? Did an intruder slip through the shadows? Was it someone connected to the world of pageants? And all the while, the case grew colder. The toll on the Ramsey family was devastating. Patsy fought a long battle with cancer, carrying the burden of suspicion until her death in 2006. John Ramsey's business empire crumbled. He lived under a cloud of whispers, accused by strangers of the unthinkable. Burke, the little boy once shielded from the media, grew up in silence, only breaking it decades later in rare, uncomfortable interviews. And JonBenét, her life ended before it had barely begun. A child who wanted nothing more than to sing, dance, and play dress-up, became a symbol of mystery, scandal, and tragedy. But the investigation wasn't over. Not yet. Over the years, countless theories emerged. Some pointed to the ransom note as proof of an inside job. Others clung to the intruder theory, citing the DNA evidence as undeniable. In 2006, a man named John Mark Carr confessed to JonBenét's murder, but DNA tests quickly ruled him out. His confession was nothing more than a delusion. Theories resurfaced. Investigators debated. Books were written. Documentaries aired. Yet no charges were ever filed. Could the killer still be walking free? The unidentified male DNA profile remains the strongest clue. Found on JonBenét's clothing, it does not match any member of the Ramsey family. Advances in DNA technology sparked renewed hope. Cold case units revisited the evidence. Could modern science finally reveal the killer's identity? But years later, the trail remains frustratingly inconclusive. Each breakthrough is followed by dead ends. Each new test sparks headlines, but no arrests. It is as if the truth is forever locked inside that Boulder mansion. More than 2 decades have passed. JonBenét Ramsey's face, frozen in time as a 6-year-old beauty queen, still haunts America. Her case is studied in law schools, debated by true crime enthusiasts, and whispered about in homes across the country. Was it the family? Was it an intruder? Or is the truth something far stranger? The answer has eluded investigators for over 25 years. And until it is solved, JonBenét's name will remain a chilling reminder. Sometimes the monsters are never caught. Christmas is supposed to be a season of joy, but for the Ramsey family, it will forever be marked by horror. JonBenét Ramsey was more than a headline. She was a little girl, a daughter, a sister, a life stolen far too soon. Her case lingers unsolved, like a shadow over American true crime, because somewhere out there, someone knows the truth. What do you think happened to JonBenét Ramsey? Was it an accident, an intruder, or a chilling family secret? Leave your theory in the comments. Someone out there knows the truth.